Mrs. the President, our members of the diplomatic corps, heads of UN agencies, representatives of private sector, civil society, representatives of the media, etc. On behalf of His Excellency President, Dr. Emerson Mnangagwa, President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, the Commander-in-Chief of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces. Today, we commemorate 8 decades since the signing of the Charter of the United Nations. We are meeting under the global theme in the court, Better Together, 80 years and more for peace, development, and human rights. A theme that resonates deeply with Zimbabwe's national purpose and our collective aspiration to deepen partnerships, advance shared prosperity, and protect the dignity of all humanity. Dignity is a very important thing to us. Dignity is a function of access to human needs. Access to food, access to water, access to requisite infrastructure, shelter, access to all things that make life possible, so that we are born in dignity, we grow in dignity, and we die in dignity. Your Excellency, allow me first to thank you to the United Nations as an institution born from the ashes of global conflict, sustained, despite all trials, by the enduring conviction that multilateral cooperation remains indispensable to human progress. We are better today. We also acknowledge the work of successive leaders of the General Assembly and the Secretary General's office in keeping the organization relevant and responsive to evolving global needs. Zimbabwe stands firmly committed to strengthening the UN as a member state-driven organization that is inclusive, that is effective, that is a center for collective action, and a center for human progress. As we celebrate this milestone, it is important to recall that Zimbabwe's international engagement is rooted in Zimbabwe's supreme law, our constitution. If you read section 12 of our constitution, it spells out what we should do in the international arena. That while protecting our national interests, we should respect international law. We should respect everyone. We should make sure that we have good neighborliness. And most of all, that we should make sure on subsection 2, we belong to organizations that stand for peace, and the United Nations is one. The Constitution of the Republic of Zimbabwe provides the legal and moral anchor for our frequency. That is, promote and protect national interests while respecting the sovereignty and dignity of other nations and states, and to advance peaceful coexistence and mutual cooperation. It further says, solve all international disputes by peaceful means. It is this constitutional foundation that gives legitimacy and purpose to our diplomacy and to the work of each nation represented everywhere in the world. Aligned with our constitution, Zimbabwe's doctrine of foreign relations and international trade furnishes the strategic architecture that shapes our global engagement, defining our priorities, guiding our diplomatic conduct, and directing the practical measures through which we pursue peacefully our national interest, which is basically dignity for our people, and dignity for the rest of the world. The dignity for others translates to our dignity. We can't have dignity while others don't have dignity. Others cannot have dignity while we can't have dignity. There, we want to foster partnerships that drive sustainable development. Adopt our foreign policy, adopt our foreign policy. Is a friend to all and an enemy man. There's somebody who is our enemy, is not us to declare. It's their declaration, not ours. So Zimbabwe is open for business. This is a guide for action that aligns our diplomatic posture with our development objectives, because we believe in humanity, access to food, access to water, access to shelter. All of these things which make people born in dignity, live in dignity, and die in dignity. That's all what we do. Encouraged in our guiding doctrinal principles, our foreign policy is intentionally people-centered and development focused, and it is designed to build a trustworthy, reliable Zimbabwe in the international community. A Zimbabwe that pursues justice, that is free and democratic, in which every citizen can live a dignified, prosperous, and fulfilling life within the matrix, global matrix of humanity. As we mark the United Nations 80th anniversary, under the theme Better Today, our policy aligns closely with UN's pillars of peace, development, and human rights, reaffirming that multilateral cooperation remains indispensable to deliver tangible outcomes. It's not a world where might is right. It's a world of common understanding. All what we say is that you can be armed to the teeth, but you can definitely be bothered by mosquitoes. Better to make peace everywhere. Just imagine the big garden in your house, that somebody outside is not even shooting, it's just shouting. Every day. That's not peace. So we want tangible outcomes in trade, in investment, in technology exchange, in capacity building, in consular protection that directly improve the lives of our people. This commemoration here reinforces our conviction that diplomacy must be measured by its own benefits for citizens, and that Zimbabwe's international engagement will continue to mobilize partnerships and resources to accelerate progress towards shared global goals in our Vision 2030. When people have access to all human beings, there shall be peace. It's all what we need, nothing more. The United Nations remains the most capable and trustworthy organization addressing the global common good. Yet, the United Nations must be match fit for contemporary challenges: climate change, food insecurity, economic fragmentation, proliferation of conflicts, and digital revolution. Zimbabwe therefore supports reform in the leadership system, but that reform must be member state driven, systematic, and inclusive. The revitalization of regional assessment and the reform of the international financial architecture are prerequisites if developing countries have to fully participate in and benefit from globalization. The international financial architecture is to recognize that in Asia, in South America, in Africa, in Oceania, these are no longer dependent nations. These are independent nations that don't depend on former imperial powers. We welcome the pact for the future as an articulation of the collective will, and we urge its operationalization through finance, technology transfer and exchange, and predictable and reliable partnerships. Progress on the SDGs is off track. The financing gap is real and urgent. They call for many developing countries for a fair, more inclusive financial system is not a plea for charity. It is a demand for equity in our world today, so that the SDGs can become a reality, not a slogan. The biggest threat to all humanity is poverty, juxtaposed with affluence. It's the affluent who are more afraid of poverty, who should be more afraid of poverty, who should eradicate it first. We are clear. Climate change is an existential threat for our world, particularly Southern Africa. Southern Africa has endured a punishing cycle of El Niño and La Niña shocks. Flood and droughts that degrade livelihoods, undermine food security and increase vulnerability. Zimbabwe reaffirms its commitment to the Paris Agreement and the principle of common but different responsibilities. Developed countries must honor their financial pledges. Multilateral institutions must provide concessional finance and de-risking instruments that make adaptation and resilient infrastructure possible for middle and low-income countries. We must scale climate smart agriculture, accelerate renewable energy deployment, enhance water storage and irrigation, and strengthen early warning systems so that communities withstand future shocks. Digital transformation and responsible governance of technology. In this sector, the transformative potential of ICT and artificial intelligence for development is without question. Yet, with absent international norms and inclusive governance, these technologies risk widening the digital divide, enabling criminality and eroding human dignity. Zimbabwe supports global dialogue on AI governance that prioritizes inclusivity, capacity building, and shared standards that protect developing countries. We must ensure that the benefits of digitalization are harnessed for education, health, trade facilitation, and public service delivery. Zimbabwe recently developed and launched a national AI strategy. On the issue of peace, security, and Africa's reconciliation, Your Excellency and Your Excellencies, Zimbabwe reiterates that peace and development are mutually reinforcing. When you look at our foreign policy, its first pillar is peace and security. That makes it possible to go to the second pillar, which is economic development, which enables the third and fourth pillar, which is promotion of tourism, so that people can start visiting each other. And I'm happy again to report Zimbabwe is the 2025 #1 destination to visit. There, peace and security is very important. We shall see that our another pillar is science, cooperation, in education, in science, in technology, in innovation and culture, while at the same time having a diplomatic architecture that allows for a peaceful world. We uphold the primacy of Chapter 6 of the UN Charter and call for stronger emphasis on conflict prevention and mediation. Our region's experience confirms that sustainable peace requires inclusive political processes, respect for human dignity, and economic opportunity. We continue to call for comprehensive reform of the United Nations Security Council. Africa's underrepresentation in the permanent category is a historical injustice that undermines the Council's legitimacy and effectiveness. The time that colonial powers were making decisions for Africa is gone. I don't see it coming back at all. Decisions on Africa must include Africa at the table, not on the menu. Zimbabwe also advocates stronger cooperation between the Security Council and the regional organizations, such as the African Union and SADC, and for the full integration of women, youth, peace and security agendas in peace-building strategies. On the issue of human rights and the right to development, Zimbabwe reaffirms the indivisibility and interdependence of all human rights. We reject selective approaches that elevate certain rights while undermining others. Our recent abolition of the death penalty underscores our commitment to the sanctity of life and human dignity. We equally affirm our support through the non-aligned movement for a legally binding covenant on the right to develop, because that's the only one that can bring dignity and peace, which we regard as an essential, a just, equitable, and humane global order. At home, our national development strategy is guided by the philosophy of leaving no one and no place behind. Section 13 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe on national development underscores this point. With the reforms and targeted investments in agriculture, mining, tourism, and innovation, we are steadily advancing toward the government's vision 2030 of an empowered, upper-middle economy. Social protection and empowerment of women, youth, and persons with disabilities, and climate mainstreaming are central to our national transformation agenda. Our diplomatic engagements are deliberately calibrated and quantified to support these priorities. Ambassadors, our ambassadors in the head of missions, are always tasked by Zimbabwe to promote dialogue, promote peace, promote partnerships, promote investment, promote all exchanges that make life dearer. We live under hundreds of years of oppression And we don't want to see it here, we don't want to see it there, we don't want to see it ever. Anyway, our diplomatic work is not an aside development. It is a core instrument engaging with the world so that there's peace, so that there's prosperity. War begins with words. War ends with words. We want to use our words to make sure that this world is livable for everyone who will play anyone, while you want to start it. On the issue of peace and global solidarity, Zimbabwe is a proud contributor to the UN peacekeeping missions. Our peacekeepers, as the Excellency said, have served with professionalism and dedication based on our core values of peace, of unity, of development. Guided by that legacy, we have presented our candidature for a non-permanent seat on the United Nations Security Council for 2027-2028. Should the membership grant us this honor, we will bring to the Council perspectives shaped by our regional experience and a practical commitment to conflict prevention, human security, and inclusive recovery. On regional integration and South-South cooperation, Zimbabwe reaffirms its commitment to regional integration as the fastest path to shared prosperity. We will continue to develop cooperation within SADC, within COMESA, within the AU, promote trade facilitation, infrastructure corridors, and value chain development that bind our economies together. South-South cooperation remains a critical complement to the North-South partnerships and must be scaled to deliver industrialization, technology exchange, and market diversification. On the issue of solidarity with the oppressed people, our foreign policy is principled. Zimbabwe stands in solidarity with peoples seeking self-determination. We remain steadfast in our support for the people of Palestine and Western Sahara who seek justice and an end to protracted occupation. We also stand with nations and peoples that suffer the humanitarian consequences of unilateral cohesive measures and call on all parties to embrace dialogue, legality, and our shared humanity. To this end, we call for the removal of the blockade on Cuba and allow the people of Cuba to pursue peaceful, free development. On the issue of better together, excellent, ladies and gentlemen, this commemoration is not merely a remembrance, it is a call to action. Better together must mean renewed commitments and operationalized partnerships. No nostalgia for bad behavior in the world. Because I think sometimes when people get big guns, they get nostalgia and imperial tendencies. So we say no to that nostalgia, yes to the UN. Let us translate big multilateral goals into projects that employ our youth, strengthen our small and medium enterprises, build resilient towns and rural economies, and exchange services to those at the margins. In conclusion, the United Nations has and must remain the principal platform where nations converge to solve collective problems and make a better future for all. It is possible. and it must be done. It's nice to be with people. It is nice to be together. We are better together. There's no better for another. The time you entertain that thought, the time you entertain travel, was freedom and liberty to the end goal of any human being. Once they feel oppressed, they will always be. Therefore, we are better together. Zimbabwe plays to remain active, constructive, stable, and principled partner in that endeavor. Zimbabwe is a country that believes in dialogue. Zimbabwe is a country that by foundation resists coercion, but always prefers dialogue, love, and harmony. Let us honor the legacy brought by the United Nations family for 8 years by recommitting ourselves to multilateralism, to reform that enhances equity and peace, and action that leaves no one and no place behind. It is possible to be better together. Let us seize this anniversary to renew our covenant for peace, to accelerate development, and to fortify human rights for all. Human rights for all. Let us work better together so that the next 8 years and more are secure, are prosperous, are dignified, with people living dignified lives. For all people across the world, no matter where they are. We are better today. Together we will achieve dignity for all. Muito obrigado. Asante sana. Merci beaucoup. Siamo.